Was it easy for you to convince your mother for the path you've taken now?
No. But the truth is very persuasive. And so in the beginning, yeah, it was very difficult. I think in her heart, she wanted to be okay. But in the conditioned mind and in the mind that's very stuck with like what the vision is and how things should be, and she didn't want me to be far.
Okay.
She was worried about me.
Okay.
In the West, we don't have such a good impression of ashrams and gurus and, you know, sadly, really sadly, the stuff that makes it into the media is the sensationalist stuff. And so you hear stories.
Yes.
So she was nervous. So she was worried. She was worried about me. Ki kya hua, kahan ja rahi hai? By that point, she hadn't met Puja Swamiji. She hadn't been here. She just knew ki some ashram, some guru. Now, so you can imagine, you know, coming from
I can totally
the Jewish American world that I come from, that was very scary. And she really had an agenda of me having children, because I am the most important thing in her life. And so, and she says all the time, you know, that having me was the most joy, the most blessing. And so she was very worried that I was somehow going to miss that joy that she had. Mm. And in most people's mindset, if they haven't known a joy, a spiritual joy, the most joy that they have is the joy of the children, and then the joy of the grandchildren. And so she was really very genuinely concerned about me. But as the years went on, as I said, the truth is very persuasive, and my mom is very, very strong. And so she really realized, okay, this is right for me.
And she realized that it was right for you,
me. She absolutely did.
Which is such a difficult thing to do for a mother when they don't take the path which they normally do as a social conditioning.
Of course. She realized it was right for me. And she said, I remember, she said in the very beginning, she said, I just being with you makes me feel so peaceful and serene. And really what that was a stamp of approval, you can say.
Which
the
made you
path
happy
that I had
inside?
chosen. Exactly. Of okay, great, now mom is able to experience through me that sense of peace that I have found in India. And that I've been able already in the beginning to just transmit it.
And you coming from a Jewish community, which was my next question, as we are discussing it is going further. Here during the yoga festival, International Yoga Festival, I came across a girl called Farina, who's Islamic. I have you, who's coming from a different community, a Jewish community, which are staunch communities, which are very, very strong communities. But can you please clear this misconception of yoga into a religious space, and the difference of spirituality and a religion or a faith? Do you think, like we discussed, like the social media or any media which is happening, do you think they are creating more of confusion between people within the countries? And how do we clear this?
Remember that social media, I mean, it's several questions you've asked, but remember that social media is us. Social media is not creating something. Social media is a platform of what we post. So if there's confusion on social media, it's because we, the people who post, are creating confusion. So social media is just a tool. It's like fire. It can cook your dinner, or it can burn down your house. It's not that fire itself is good or bad. It's how it's used. Social media can be used as a tool of connection, a tool of awakening, a tool of awareness, a tool of people all over the world watching this yoga festival who couldn't come, being inspired. And it can be a tool of separation. So it just depends on whose hands it's in. In terms of yoga and religion, so yoga connects us with the truth of who we are. It is rooted, of course, in the Indian spiritual tradition. It's rooted in Sanatan Dharma. It's rooted in this Hindu lineage. But Sanatan Dharma, anyway, never prescribes you must worship like this, or you must worship according to that name or this form. Even within Sanatan Dharma, there's this opening that says, the truth is one, but the sages call it by different names. Let all the noble thoughts come from all directions. God is in everything. So even within this Hindu tradition, there's an openness to an infinite number of possibilities, of names, of forms, of divinity. We are taught everything is divine. Everything is God. There is nothing but God. And so, yes, so yoga comes from that tradition.
Yes.
But it connects you to the divine within yourself. It's not that yoga makes you Hindu, or that you have to be Hindu to benefit.
Yeah.
One way of understanding that is you could think about Ayurveda. Yeah. So Ayurveda also comes out of Sanatan Dharma. It comes out of Hinduism. It's one of our Vedas, science of life. But if you take triphala in the night, and you're a Christian, or you're a Jewish, or you're an atheist, or you're Muslim, it's going to clear your stomach anyway. You don't have to become a Hindu in order for triphala to work. And if a Christian person, or a Jewish person, or a Muslim person takes triphala in the night, or subah uth ke pet saaf ho gaya, it's not ki wo bhi khud Hindu ban gaye in the night. Ki triphala raat ko khaya, subah uth ke Hindu ho gaya. It comes out of that tradition, but it works on people of every tradition. And that's the truth of all of the aspects of Sanatan Dharma. Is you don't have to be born in a Hindu tradition or identify as a Hindu in order to benefit from the teachings of Sanatan Dharma. So yoga is one of those. Yes, it is a teaching of Sanatan Dharma. But it benefits people of all religions. Does not require you to subscribe to any dogma. Does not require you to believe anything.
It does not compel you to do something.
Of course not. Of course not.
To follow it.
Absolutely. Except what it compels you to do is to connect with that expression of divinity in you.
Spirituality as such, in a wider sense, not for us maybe, is also, when I speak to youngsters or girls of my age, generally, especially in the media field, when we say spiritual, you know what, they come back and tell me, like, maybe you're escaping the reality. Is it, I mean, how do I actually define or convince somebody, or I don't know, because being spiritual and being connected to God, for me, is enlightenment.
Of course.
For some, it's escapism. How do we clear this?
Well, first of all, we realize that we cannot convince everyone of everything. We know, for example, that eating meat is bad for your health, it's bad for the planet, it's bad for the environment, it's bad for our sisters and brothers with whom we share the environment. We know all of that. These are facts. The United Nations gives us facts on how bad eating meat is for the air, for the environment, for climate change, for world hunger, for world water. We know that. The medical institutions tell us how bad it is on our bodies. People still do it. We know how bad smoking cigarettes is for you. At least that's not killing the whole planet, it's just killing you, but either way.
Okay.
Eating meat is also killing the planet. Smoking, at least comes to come, you're only harming yourself. But people still do it. And so we realize, okay, we can put truth out there.
Okay.
But we can't force people. They say you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. And in the same way, spirituality is, you're right, spirituality absolutely is the point of life. But there are people who will say you're escaping.
Yes.
People will say anything. Now, what's important for us is, do we care what people say? Does it matter to us if someone says you're escaping? Do I need to get into a debate? Do I need to waste my precious energy and time debating people who have no interest in actually changing their perspective? If someone is genuinely interested and they say to you, Poonam, I've always avoided spirituality because it seems like an escape, but I respect you, I know you, I really like you. You are spiritual. Don't you think it's an escape? Now, someone like that is a sincere seeker.
Okay.
Those are people that you should answer and give them the time. Okay. But people who are just there to criticize and condemn and say stupid things because they have no other work, so don't waste your time. But it's a tragedy because we've gotten into this illusion that the material world is what's real.
Please repeat that for me. Please repeat that for me.
We've gotten into this illusion, this tragic, tragic illusion that the material world is what is real. And we know it's not. And the reason that we know it's not, aside from the fact that all of our sages and saints and rishis have told us it's not, is on a very deep level. When you connect deeply with yourself, what you know is, it's not dependent on the outer world. Meaning, how old are you?
27.
Okay. So you've been saying I for about 25 years.
Yeah.
We typically learn me, mine, I at around the age of 2. That's why we call them the terrible twos.
Okay.
That's when we start me, my, I, no. And that's also when we learn no.
Okay.
Mother says, do you want to go to sleep? No. Do you want to stay awake? No. Do you want to eat peas? No. Just because I have discovered the fun of saying no and watching mom's face turn red. And now, I've been saying I that long. Has your body changed since you were 2?
Mine has changed.
Everybody's
Body
has changed.
Everybody's
bodies has changed since they were 2.
Every material has changed.
Everything has changed. Every cell of your being has changed.
Yes.
Did you ever stop saying I? Was there ever a point that you thought, oh wait, let me get a new body, then I can readjust, then I can say I again?
No.
Of course not. The I has been consistent.
Yeah.
Body has changed. Physical body has changed. Emotions have changed.
Yeah.
Knowledge has changed. Lifestyle has changed.
Yes.
Title has changed. Career has changed.
And the only change is constant.
I has stayed constant. What is that I?
And we did not concentrate on that.
We're going to keep saying I for the rest of our lives. Our bodies will keep changing. Our roles will keep changing. Our careers will keep changing. Our bank accounts will keep changing. That I. That's what our spiritual world connects us to. And so, it's not that we should ignore the outside world. No problem, have it. It exists. But if you're not connected to I, if you're not connected to what stays constant, then you bounce around with the world. The stock market goes up, you go up. Stock market goes down, you go down. Your fame goes up, you go up. Your fame goes down, you go down.
So all of us are just dependent, like the stock market outside.
We're like waves on the ocean.
Yeah.
And so what spirituality does is it anchors us.
Yeah.
It anchors us deeply.
Yeah.
So if someone says that's an illusion, you should feel very sad for them. Seriously.
No,
Because what it means is that they haven't connected at all inside.
Yeah. Yeah. It has happened with me that I did not really move away to give in or cry or howl into situations where the people expected me to. I said it's a part of life, it's just fine. I mean, let them do what they have to do, I will do what I have to do and continue my work. So yes, I think somewhere my spiritual curiosity has led me into myself. People like you who have influenced me in the I, honestly. The essence, this is very, very important, like the way the world is changing and everything is becoming casual, especially for girls, especially in schools. You must be hearing all the news possible about the exploitation which goes on for women, obviously, the sexual exploitation which goes on, and the girls, and I will not blame only the men for it, but even women who have got convinced that you have to give in yourself. Well, I want you really, really from the heart to say or explain, because I certainly feel that purity gives you strength to fight.
Of course.
Yeah. I want you to explain the essence and the importance of purity to lead life.
Purity is that source in myself with which I anchor.
The way anchor
means when I go into myself, I'm anchoring into that source within myself of light, of love, of divinity. But that has to be pure. Now, we're not the body, but the body is the medium through which we experience the divine.
Yes.
Meaning, not my fingertips, but my brain, which is part of my body.
Yeah.
If you are brain dead, God still exists, your soul still exists, your spirit still exists, you're no less divine. But your ability to understand that, your ability to connect with divinity has disappeared.
Okay.
So our physical brain, which is part of our physical body, it's made up of the same stuff our physical body is made up of, is the medium through which I connect to God. When I close my eyes and I meditate, well, what's meditating? My brain is meditating. My brain is chanting my mantra. My brain is watching my breath. My brain is saying, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And my brain is also my way of understanding myself. So when I say, I am divine, what's saying that? My brain is saying that. When I give up the sanctity of who I am, when I allow who I am to become cheap, when I allow who I am to become an object, when I allow who I am to become just physical, sensual experiences, I've cheapened the truth of who I am. And so this is where purity is so important. Because the purity is that which heightens my understanding of myself. And the other thing that happens is the more of my life that is focused on physical and sensual pleasures, the more my attention is diverted and distracted from that I. So instead of concentrating on I within, I'm concentrating on, oh, that feels good, okay, on my body, my physical body. My whole attention gets diverted to the physical body. what I'm going to wear. Is this going to be sexy or is that going to be sexy? And how somebody's touching me, how I'm touching somebody else. My whole attention gets diverted there.
Yes.
And I forget that I'm not the body. And so this is again where our teachings keep bringing us back into the self, into that purity of the self. Because only when there's purity of the self can I connect with the divine. And that purity is not in my fingertips, it's not on my skin. It's in my brain, it's in my way of understanding myself. Physical body can be washed, have a shower. But my way of thinking about myself in my mind cannot be washed so easily. And so when I maintain purity of my physical body, it is sending a message to my brain that I am a pure being. When I allow my physical body to be used, I'm sending a message to my brain that that's who I am. That that's what I have to offer the world. That that's how I interact with the world.
And it disconnects you, and I will not say disconnect, but it makes it very difficult to have the divine bliss if you're impure, because first you need to take out the impurities and then you will be able to experience it.
Well, and also if I'm focused on getting joy through my body only, then that becomes my source of pleasure. I don't go in. And this is where it's so important to go in and go in and go in.
On this eve of International Women's Day, and I had the privilege to really internationally interact with so many people from 6 continents. First, I would like to thank you and Swamiji. And I want you to give a message which can be told to everybody.
A message for women and a message for everyone. For women, remember, the full, infinite, creative power is within you. You are that divine Shakti. You are that divine goddess. And whether it's the goddess in the form of Kali and Durga, whether it's the goddess in the form of Lakshmi, goddess in the form of Saraswati, goddess in the form of Mother Ganga, goddess in the form of Mother Earth, Mother Nature, whatever form we identify with, that's in you. Remember that. This body is a vehicle. It's a beautiful vehicle. It's a divine vehicle. It's a grace-filled vehicle. But who you are is more than the body. And so allow yourself to remember the power of who you are. Allow yourself to connect with that divine feminine presence within you. And know that is who you are at the core. And with that, as we honor, as we love, as we empower that energy within us, because the power is there. We don't need somebody to empower us. We talk about women's empowerment. Well, women don't need to be empowered from outside. We just need to remember our power from the inside. And as we talk about that, as we talk about the power and the love and the respect, remember also Mother Earth and Mother Nature. Because just as the body of us, of our mothers, of our sisters, of our daughters, is divine and is not an object for consumption, is not an object for use and abuse, neither is Mother Nature, neither is Mother Earth. And so that reverence that we need to have for the human females, for our human mothers is also the reverence we need to have for Mother Earth and Mother Nature. And remember also, to my sisters out there, to my daughters out there, to my mothers out there, remember, equal does not mean same. Your power as an equal woman is not about how much of a man you can become. This is the tragedy, is in looking for equality, we forget that equal doesn't mean same. I don't have to act like a man, dress like a man, speak like a man, do like a man in order to be equal. Inherent in women, inherent in the feminine, is the energy that is not only equal but essential. But I lose it when I try to become a man in order to become equal. I can never be a man. But if in giving up my womanhood, if in giving up my femininity, I think I'm going to gain equality somehow, I lose. And so remember, your femininity, your womanhood, your Shakti is your power. Embrace it, love it, live it, be it, and share it. And bring that love, bring that power, bring that creative principle, creative energy to the world. And protect it, and preserve it, and revere it.
Thank you. And I actually have interviewed a Shiv Shakti today, and I'm very happy about it. Thank you, Sadhvi ji. Namaskar.